Welcome to my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to catch more amazing stories. On a gloomy afternoon street, John, a homeless black man, was walking under the sweltering summer heat. He wore a worn-out dark outfit covered in road dust, carrying a plastic bottle with a little remaining water. He hadn't found work in a long time, forcing him to live on the streets. He owned little, just an old backpack containing a few personal items. Suddenly, a frantic scream rang out, catching John's attention. He turned to see a house engulfed in thick, black smoke. The fire was spreading, and the house had begun to burn fiercely. Crowds gathered outside, yelling in panic, but no one dared to do anything. John could hear the faint cries coming from inside the house. He knew someone was trapped. Without a moment's hesitation, John dropped his water bottle and rushed into the burning house, risking his life. Entering the house, the thick smoke made it almost impossible for John to see. He used his hand to cover his nose and mouth, trying to breathe in short, slow breaths. The fire had consumed much of the house, turning everything into chaos. The creaking of wood as the fire spread forced John to be extra cautious with each step. He carefully moved through the scorching stairs, his bare feet burning as they touched the hot floor. Each step was a test of his willpower, and John had to keep his mind sharp to avoid fainting amidst the smoke. He listened intently, trying to determine the source of the weak cries echoing from somewhere inside the house. His entire body seemed to scream in pain, but the determination to bring the little girl out safely pushed him forward. Finally, he reached a room at the end of the hallway. The door had partially caught fire, but John didn't hesitate to kick it open. Inside, he saw a little girl curled up in the corner, her eyes filled with tears and her body trembling with fear. The girl was panicking, trying to avoid the flames surrounding her. John knelt down and gently said, "Don't be scared. I'm here to save you. We have to get out of here right now." His voice was warm and steady, trying to calm the girl. Emily, about 8 years old, looked at John with fearful eyes but also a glimmer of hope. John quickly picked her up, feeling her small body trembling. He wrapped a cloth around Emily's head to protect her from the smoke and flames. John held the girl tightly and retraced his steps, trying to remember every turn to get out safely. The fire continued to spread, and pieces of the ceiling began to collapse, creating terrifying sounds. John had to move quickly and avoid obstacles to prevent injury. As they descended the stairs, a step suddenly gave way beneath John, causing both him and Emily to nearly fall. John quickly grabbed the stair railing with one hand while holding Emily tightly with the other. The searing pain from his burned hand almost made him give up, but Emily's scream pulled him back. John struggled to stand, lifting his heavy feet to continue the journey. The dense smoke made breathing difficult, and John felt his chest tightening as if it was about to explode. He could feel each breath becoming heavier, and his vision started to blur. But he didn't stop. The only thought in his mind was to get the little girl out safely. Using every bit of strength left, he ran down the stairs, avoiding burning debris and trying not to lose his balance. As they neared the exit, John's legs felt like they could no longer carry him. Every muscle in his body screamed with exhaustion and pain. But when he saw the light from outside shining in, he knew he was close. With one final effort, John burst through the door, carrying Emily out of the house engulfed in flames. The moment they stepped outside, fresh air rushed into John's lungs, and he felt revived. Just as John and the girl made it out, the fire trucks arrived. Firefighters quickly worked to put out the blaze, while John was checked by paramedics. Exhausted, he collapsed to the ground, but he still held Emily tightly to ensure she was safe. The paramedics hurried over to examine them both, and upon seeing that Emily was not seriously injured, they smiled with relief. John sat down on the ground, sweat and soot covering his face, his eyes stinging but filled with joy. Emily still clung tightly to his neck, tears streaming down her face, but her lips curled into a grateful smile. "I'm so scared, but you saved me. Thank you," she sobbed. John gently stroked Emily's disheveled hair and said, "You're safe now. It's all over." Reporters had now gathered, and news of John's heroic actions quickly spread. Images of a homeless man, in tattered clothes, risking everything to save a little girl from a burning house touched everyone's hearts. They took photos, capturing the emotional moment of Emily and John sitting together amidst the chaos. But filled with humanity, the little girl saved was Emily, the daughter of Kevin, a well-known millionaire with many large companies. When Kevin received news that his daughter had been saved by a homeless man, he couldn't find the words to express his gratitude. He decided he had to meet John. After learning about the man who saved his daughter, Kevin immediately sought information about John and had his team make contact. The meeting took place a few days later at a small cafe, where Kevin wanted to meet John to express his gratitude in the most sincere way. Kevin hadn't expected the man he was looking for to be so humble and modest. Kevin looked at John with respect, unable to hide his emotion as he said, "You saved my daughter, and I can't express how grateful I am. I want to help you, not just because you saved Emily, but because I believe you deserve a better life." First, John was hesitant. He never thought he would meet someone like Kevin, much less receive help from such a wealthy man. However, Kevin's sincerity and enthusiasm gradually moved him. Kevin offered John a small apartment so he could have a stable place to live and start his life anew. John hesitated, but the thought of having a real home was something he couldn't refuse. Kevin also offered John a job at one of his companies. Initially, John doubted he could fit into an office environment. But Kevin emphasized that he believed in John's determination and courage and wanted to give him a chance. John began his new life in the small apartment Kevin had arranged for him. For the first time in years, John had a real home to return to each night. At first, it was hard for him to believe, and there were nights he couldn't sleep because he was so overwhelmed. He no longer had to worry about sleeping on cold street corners or facing others' scorn. The new job at Kevin's company wasn't easy either. John started with the simplest tasks, like organizing files and assisting with basic office work. Everything was new and unfamiliar, from using a computer to communicating with colleagues. But with Kevin's help and guidance from his coworkers, John gradually learned and improved. He always arrived early and stayed late, knowing he had to work twice as hard to make up for his shortcomings. Kevin frequently visited John, not just to check on his work but also to encourage him. They grew closer, and Kevin shared with John the struggles he had faced when starting his own business. Those stories were not only lessons but also a great source of motivation for John. He began to feel that he was not just an employee but part of a new family. John also began building relationships with those around him. First, his colleagues were a bit wary of the man who had once been homeless, but they gradually grew to admire his sincerity and hard work. John never hesitated to help others when he could, and his enthusiasm made him more approachable to everyone in the company. The new life brought John not only a job and a home but also newfound confidence and purpose. He no longer felt like a burden on society. John began participating in charitable activities, especially programs to support the homeless. He remembered the tough days on the street and wanted to help those facing the challenges he had once endured. Kevin also supported John in forming a small charity group, where they regularly organized food and clothing drives for the homeless. John felt happy every time he saw the smiles of those he helped, which only strengthened his resolve to make a difference in the lives of those around him. Emily, after the shock of the fire, gradually recovered. She grew very fond of John and treated him like an uncle. Whenever John visited Kevin's home, Emily would run to him, hugging him tightly and telling him about what she had done at school. This special bond deeply moved Kevin, making him appreciate John even more. Emily often said that John was the one who gave her faith in kindness and courage, and she wanted to grow up to be like him. After some time, with Kevin's support, John decided to establish a charity fund named Hope. This fund aimed to help the homeless and those in difficult circumstances, giving them the opportunity to change their lives just as he had. Kevin not only provided financial support but also helped John connect with partners, allowing the charity to quickly become operational and bring positive changes to the community. The Hope Charity Fund helped hundreds of homeless people find housing, jobs, and the support they needed to restart their lives. John frequently visited the support centers established by the fund, listening to the stories of those in need and sharing his experiences. He was not only the founder but also a companion, always there to assist and encourage everyone. John found meaning in his life through helping others. He was no longer a homeless man wandering the streets. He had become a symbol of hope and compassion. He proved that no matter how difficult life gets, with courage and the help of those around us, anyone can change their destiny. Emily grew up with John as her role model, always remembering the man who saved her life and instilled in her a belief in human kindness. Kevin also found happiness knowing that the values he imparted to his daughter were clearly reflected in John's life and in those he helped. John's story is a testament to the power of courage, kindness, and humanity. A selfless act not only saved a life but also changed the lives of many others. And John himself became a living symbol of that.